Hi everyone, welcome to Sunday School Live. Apologies, I'm on my phone again, so I'm not like landscape. Apparently I need to update my Chrome on my laptop, so therefore I couldn't do the live video today. So something so small and so simple stopped the whole thing from working. So anyway, glad to have you with us. I'm just going to wait for everyone to gather around. Because it's only just gone 10:30, and I know it takes some people a couple of minutes just to get the kids ready, get the sources ready, and yeah, we'll get going in a wee second. So just for those who are here, what you'll need today at Sunday School Live is the resources printed off aghadoweypci.co.uk. I'll just go through all the different wee resources that we have. Let me just bring them up. So we have the craft template, which is the one. I'll turn my phone on silent so you don't hear it go ping. Okay, so yes, you've got the craft template, which is like a cutout of a coat. That's the one I'll be explaining. Then you've also got a word search which you can print off, and then you've also got Pharaoh's headdress which you can cut out, and then you can do role play of the story. If one kid's Pharaoh, one kid's Joseph, etc., etc. So that's what you're gonna need. I think I had other ones up there. Let me just double check. Maybe they didn't load. I've had very dodgy internet over the past couple of days. So I'm just going to double check. I might upload that quickly. Yes, that one hasn't uploaded. Right, I'll fire that one up. Okay, so there's another activity going up onto the website right now. There's like little faces of Joseph, and there's different emotions on it, and then throughout the story you like point to however Joseph is feeling, and then there's some other ones as well on it, but we'll be doing like the craft template one and with the coat together. So everybody's coming together, very good. Okay, so let's get started. Oh, you'll also need the Jesus Storybook Bible. If you have got a copy, that would be great, so then you can follow along with the pictures, because today's story is very colourful. And you'll also need maybe an extra device to do the quiz if you're watching this on a laptop and want to watch the screen, and also do the quiz at the same time. So let's get started with today's story. Now kids, have you got any multicoloured coats? Well, I've got lots of coats down with me in the sitting room this morning, but they're not colourful. They're all in just one colour. I've got a yellow coat. This is my yellow spring coat, which I wear to walk the dog with, so everybody can see me on the road, and it's just great for just like a day where there's just going to be like a wee rain shower or something. Then I've got my big puffer pink coat, which is good for the winter. I've got a grey coat, which is like quite long, quite cosy. I've got a navy coat. I've got a black coat, and I've even got my Dotty dressing gown. But I don't have a multicoloured coat. I wonder, do you have a multicoloured coat? Well, the person in today's story has a very colourful coat. So, if you want to turn with me to page 76 in the Jesus Storybook Bible, and we'll have a look at today's story. In this story, lots of things go wrong, and you can struggle to see where it's going to have a happy ending at some points. Throughout Sunday School Live, we have been looking at all the different characteristics of God, how he always has a plan, how he loves us no matter what. And today's characteristic of God is that he makes things for our good. Even when everything seems to be going wrong, today is all about how God makes things work out for our good. So, have you ever had anything go really, really wrong? Maybe homeschooling has gone a little bit wrong this week. But let's have a look at this story and see how God makes things work out for Joseph's good. So Jacob had 12 sons. This is the Jacob that we did last week, okay? So we're still going down the family tree. Jacob had 12 sons, but all of his sons, Joseph was his favourite. Jacob has a thing about having favourites, doesn't he? One day, Jacob gave Joseph a splendid new robe or coat. It was beautiful and rich with all the colours of the rainbow, but it made Joseph's brothers very jealous. They wanted one too. Then, to make matters worse, Joseph kept on having these special dreams. I dreamt I was the greatest. I was the king, Joseph told his brothers, and you all bow down to me. Now, I'm sure you know, even if Joseph didn't, that telling your brothers the things like this isn't a very good idea to be boastful. Joseph's brothers hated him even more. They wanted to kill Joseph and his dreams, and one day that's exactly what they tried to do. They tore Joseph's rainbow robe off him and sold it to slave traders for 20 pieces of silver. The traders took Joseph to Egypt and made him into a slave. The brothers went home and lied to their father, telling him that Joseph was dead. That's the end of that dreamer, they thought, but they were wrong. God had a magnificent dream for Joseph's life, and even when it looked like everything had gone wrong, God would use it to help make the dream come true. God would use everything that was happening to Joseph to do something good. Meanwhile, though, things were not looking good for Joseph in Egypt. He was far from home and his dad. He had got blamed for something he didn't do, and even though he had done nothing wrong, he was punished and thrown in jail. But God had not left Joseph. One night, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, had a scary dream about thin cows gobbling up fat cows. What on earth did it mean? He didn't know. But Joseph was something of a dream expert. So Pharaoh sent for him. It means a famine is coming, Joseph explained, and there won't be enough food. Pharaoh was so pleased by Joseph's skill that he immediately took Joseph out of jail and made him a prince. Now back home, Joseph's brothers had run out of food and everyone was hungry. God's special family was in danger. If they didn't get food soon, they would starve to death. They would be very, very, very hungry. So Joseph's brothers travelled to Egypt to buy food. A bit like your mum heading off to Coleraine to get the groceries. You're having to go somewhere and get food. They came and knelt before the new prince. His brothers didn't know that the prince was Joseph. But Joseph knew who they were. Joseph's dream, the dream about his brothers bowing down, was coming true. "It's me," Joseph cried. When they saw it was Joseph, his brothers were afraid. They had wronged Joseph. They had sinned and they knew it. Now Joseph would certainly punish them. But Joseph looked at his brothers and his eyes filled with tears. Even though his brothers had hurt him and hated him and wanted him dead, in spite of everything, he couldn't stop loving them. His heart, which they had broken, filled up with love, and Joseph forgave them. Joseph threw his arms around them. "Don't be afraid," he said. "Behind what you were doing, underneath everything that was happening, God was doing something good. God was making everything right again." Joseph didn't punish them. He rescued them. He brought them God's special family to live safely with him in Egypt. One day, God would send another prince, a young prince whose heart would break. Like Joseph, he would leave his home and his father. His brothers would hate him and want him dead. He would be sold for pieces of silver. He would be punished even though he had done nothing wrong. But God would use everything that happened to this young prince, even the bad things, to do something good, to forgive the sins of the whole world. And that's the end of today's story. It's quite a long story, and even in this little summary, it didn't cover everything, but I hope you got the gist of the story of Joseph and how everything worked out for good, even when the brothers thought it was going terribly wrong. So, on to our craft. So, if you go onto our website, Wi-Fi, don't do this to me. Yes, website. You'll have lots of different resources. So you've got Pharaoh's headdress template there. You can cut out the strips. There's like a before and after picture that I've got up there for you. You can colour it in blue and yellow. So one sibling you can dress up as Pharaoh, and then the other one you can go and put on a coat and pretend to be Joseph, and you can act out the story, and then the other siblings can be the brothers. So you can do the story of Joseph. Then the other craft you'll see is Joseph's jacket craft. That's a tongue twister and a half. So it is the template that you can cut out, and then it was up there. So you can photocopy the template, and then what you need to do is get some magazines that are old, not the latest editions that your mum or dad hasn't finished reading yet. You need to get old magazines and old newspapers. Parents, have a flick through, make sure they're family friendly, because not all news stories are family friendly. And I want you to make a colourful coat for Joseph. So you'll look through the newspapers, cut out some pictures. You might see a picture of the sea, and that'll be blue, so you can stick some blue on the coat. You might see a picture of a red car. You could put the red on the coat, and just find lots of different colours through the newspapers and the magazines to make a colourful collage for the coat. So yes, make sure they're old magazines. Ask your parents first in case they want to keep them, and old newspapers, okay? So just cut them up and stick them, and you'll make a very colourful coat. Easy peasy. There's even instructions to tell you how to do it on the website. Then there's also a colouring in page, which you can just colour in if you're not up for cutting and sticking. And then there's little pictures of Joseph. If I just show you my laptop, this one here, this is the activity I'm talking about. Can you see it? There we go. Probably got a glimpse of the garden. So you can read through the story, recap through the story, and you can... Joseph went through a lot of emotions in that story, and you can point to how Joseph was feeling throughout the entire story. It's a good way of recapping all the highs and the lows of Joseph. So that's that little activity pack there. And yes, Pharaoh's headdress, cut it out, and be Pharaoh for the day. Okay, and you can also use that craft for other stories that are coming up in Sunday School Live. So don't throw that one out. You can keep that one because Pharaoh appears a lot in the Old Testament. Okay, so quiz time. You can work out your Joseph's jacket crafts a little bit later on. We'll get started with the quiz. So you'll need your extra device, if you're watching on a laptop, you can just open up another tab. And so the code is, let me just check all the settings are good. Let me see. So animated attempts, timer, leaderboard, shuffle questions, no shuffle instructions. Continue. Okay, so today's code is 241581. 241581. Okay, and I will put a wee comment in here. 241581. So for those of you who haven't played along before, go on to Google, type in joinmyquiz.com, and it's the first option that you get. And oh, we've got people joining already. We're getting super fast at this. Joinmyquiz.com. You enter the code. There should be a little space, and you just enter that game code 241581. Don't need to sign up to anything. Don't need to download any apps. Just go straight into it, and just joinmyquiz.com website, and then enter the game code 241581. And then we'll get started on our quiz about Joseph. So we've got 22 people signed up so far. We'll just give everybody a wee chance to get started. Find a device that is charged, ready to go. And it's joinmyquiz.com 241581. So are we ready to go? In the meantime, you can be commenting underneath from where you're watching, because I know there's different people watching from different places. Always great to see who's watching. And if you give the post a share, then even more people will be able to see it and join in for Sunday School Live. There we go. Are we ready? Okay, I think we're ready. We've got 34 people signed up. Okay. Oh, 35. Everyone, okay. Are we ready to go? Start. Okay, off you go. I can't play along with you today because I've got my phone is recording and my laptop's doing the quiz. I don't have another device. I need 3 devices to do this. But yes, off you go. It's not too hard, the quiz this week. A wee bit easier than last week. Some of you are flying through the questions. Okay, so work away at the quiz. Doing well. Okay, oh, flying through it. And question 8 already. There we go. So let me see who's all watching. Very good. We've got the Pollocks, we've got the Wilsons, we've got the Youngs. There we go. Very good. Let's see who's all watching. Oh, some people are finished already. I think we have a clear winner. We'll just give everybody a chance to catch up. Okay, very good, everyone. Oh, some people are still going. Okay. You've got 10 seconds to answer each question, so it shouldn't take you too long to work your way through. There we go. Well done, Sam. You are at the top with Emily. Second, well done. So super duper. Normally if we were in the hall, I would have lots of prizes to give out. But because we're virtually, I'm just going to have to give you a wee round of applause. Well done. So, everyone's nearly finished that. Super duper. Okay, so let's go back to our story for a little bit of a recap. Okay, so in this story, a lot of things went really wrong for Joseph and his brothers. Okay, Joseph was really happy. He was the favourite son. He had a fantastic coat that many would be jealous of, including his brothers. And then his brothers got jealous, and then they sold him and the coat for 20 pieces of silver. Sorry, they sold Joseph, not the coat, for 20 pieces of silver. Imagine selling your sibling. Like, I know sometimes sibling rivalry, or you have wee squabbles, but like, imagine selling your sibling. So, and they thought, right, we've got rid of him, don't need to think about him anymore. And Joseph was all alone. And then he got accused of doing something he hadn't. So it got even worse because he was thrown in jail. How on earth could this work out for anybody's good? But remember, Joseph was a dream expert. And Pharaoh was having all these dreams. So Joseph had a bit of a turn of fate because Pharaoh enlisted him to interpret dreams because nobody could understand what Pharaoh was dreaming about. And Pharaoh was so happy that Joseph went from being a prisoner to a prince. Isn't that incredible? How he went from so bad to so good. Then, for Joseph's brothers, it was getting worse. They were getting really, really, really hungry. So they had to travel all the way to Egypt to look for some food. And then they saw this prince that they had to go beg to. And then they realised it was their brother who they thought they had sold and got rid of. Then they had realised what they had done wrong. But it all worked out for good because Joseph forgave them and they were happy again. So, okay. Who would have believed that being in jail would lead Joseph to become a prince? Who would believe that the brothers would become, who were hating their brother Joseph, would have to go and beg to him for food after he became a prince? So let's have a look at this week's verse. Now, I didn't get it up on the website for the little cards because the thing that I used to make the little cards was not working, and anyway, we'll see if it works out for my good. So the verse is Romans 8:28. And let's have a look. I'll bring it up on my screen. All things work together for good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So I'll read that out once more. There will be a little card going up, but I'll put it up later. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So, but that doesn't mean we live any way we choose and God fixes our messes. In this story, yes, Joseph's brothers did make a big mess of things, but it all worked out for their good. And God was able to use Joseph in jail for something good. Second of all, God tells us how God can use all things together for good. But that doesn't mean all things are good. There are some really sad things happening in the world, even today. And we see that as we look out from our windows or we see it on the news. There's some really sad things happening. But that doesn't mean that God can't use it together for our good. And you might be wondering, where is all the good in this? Having to stay off school and have mum and dad do homeschooling and not being able to go see our friends. How can this be good? We might not get to know that for a little while longer, or we might not see what actually is good. But God will use it for our good. And then I want to look at the next verse, Romans 8:29, because you can't just look at one verse in isolation. You have to look at the whole bit. Final thing is that in Romans 8:29 it talks about how it is the ultimate good God wants to accomplish in the lives of all of us is that we become more like Jesus, and we see that in this story, at the very end of this story, it talks about another prince who would forgive and whose heart was broken because of all the sin. And there was not a lot of good going on. Jesus had to die on the cross. How was God going to make that something good? I'll just read this little bit again. One day, God would send another prince, a young prince whose heart would break. Like Joseph, he would leave his home and his father. His brothers would hate him and want him dead. He would be sold for pieces of silver. He would be punished even though he had done nothing wrong. How was God going to use this for good? But God would use everything that happened to this young prince, even the bad things, to do something good, to forgive the sins of the whole world. You see, God does make things work out for our good, even if we don't realise it. And that's the story of, or the little caption for today's stories, that all things will work together. Bring up the verse. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So that God would use it all to help make his big plan come true. Even when everything looked like it had gone wrong, God would use everything that was happening to Joseph and happening to us to do something good. We just have to wait and see. God would use everything that was happening to Jesus, all the times that he was shouted at, all the times that he was called names, he would turn it into something good and forgive the sins of the whole world. And that's today's lesson. I hope you got something from it. I hope you enjoyed it. There's no real announcements other than join our service on YouTube. I'll put a little caption below, and you can join in with that. There's Crossgar Sunday School, I think, are doing something, so you'll have to wait and see what that is. You might see me again. And there's a children's address as well, and also just basically our regular service but done virtually. So we don't know how many more weeks we've got to do of this, but we're just going to keep going until we're back together in the church. Kids, forgot to mention prayer activity. Keep working at your little prayer chains, adding them on. They're probably getting quite long by now. It'd be great to see those when we bring them back together again, and we'll link them all up in our little prayer chains. So you can be putting down things that you might be worried about or scared about, and we'll pray over those and bring them together. And you can look back on other prayers that you've written in other weeks and see how God has answered them, or see how God is still working on them. So that's the wee prayer activity, just a wee reminder. So yeah, join in our service. I'll put a wee caption down below, and I'll also put this Sunday School song that you can put on your TV and sing and dance and do the actions to as well. And I'll make sure the wee memory verse card is up so that you can keep collecting those over the weeks, and you can access the other ones as well on our website if you've missed out a week or so. So yes, go join our service over in the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.